This here's the story of the Cremation of Sam Magee. There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men who toil for gold. The Arctic trails have their secret tales that would make your blood run cold. The northern lights have seen queer sights, but the queerest they ever did see was the night on the marge of Lake Labarge. I cremated Sam Magee. Now, Sam Magee, he was from Tennessee, where the cotton blooms and blows. Why he left his home in the south to roam round the pole, well, God only knows. He was always cold. The land of gold seemed to hold him like a spell, though he'd often say, in his homely way, that he'd sooner live in hell. Now, on a Christmas Day, we were mushing our way over the Dawson Trail, talking to cold through the parka's fold. It stabbed like a driven nail. Our eyes we'd close, then the lashes froze, till sometimes we couldn't even see. But it wasn't much fun. But the only one to whimper was Sam Magee. That very night, as we lay packed tight in our robes beneath the snow, and the dogs were fed and the stars overhead were dancing heel and toe, he turned to me and he said, "Cap," he says, "I'll cash in this trip, I guess. And if I do, I'm asking you that you won't refuse my last request." Well, he seemed so low that I couldn't say no. And then he says with a sort of a moan, "It's the cursed cold. It's got right hold till I'm chilled clean through to my bone. It tain't being dead. It's my awful dread of that icy grave that pains. So I want you to swear that foul or fair that you'll cremate my last remains." Well, a pal's last need is a thing to heed, so, well, I swore that I would not fail. And we started on streak of dawn. God, he looked ghastly pale. He crouched on the sleigh and he raved all day of his home in Tennessee. And before nightfall, a corpse was all that was left of Sam Magee. There wasn't a breath in that land of death, and I hurried, horror-driven, with a corpse that half hid that I couldn't get rid because of a promise given. It was lashed to the sleigh, and it seemed to say, "You must tax your brawn and brains, but you promise true. It's up to you to cremate those last remains." Now a promise paid is a debt unpaid. The trail, it has its own stern code. And in the days that come, Though my lips were dumb, in my heart how I cursed that load. In the long, long night, by the lone firelight, while the huskies, round in a ring, howled out their woes to the homeless snows. God, how I loathed that thing. Every day that quiet clay seemed to heavier grow. And on I went, though the dogs were spent, and the grub was getting low. The trail was bad, and I felt half mad, but I swore that I wouldn't give in. I'd often sing to that hateful thing, and it hearkened with a grin, till I came to the marge of Lake LaBarge, and there the thing lay, was jammed in the ice, but I saw. I tried, so it was called the Alice May. And I looked at it, and I thought a bit, and I looked at my frozen chum. Then here, I said, with a sudden cry, is my crematorium! Some planks I tore from the cabin floor, and I lit the boiler fire. Some coal I found that was lying about, and I heaped the fuel higher. The flames, they soared, and the furnace, it roared, such a blaze that you seldom see. And I borrowed, and burrowed, and skirted around, and I burrowed a hole in the glowing coal, and I stuffed in Sam Magee. And then I made a hike. I didn't like to hear him sizzle so. The heavens scowled, and the huskies howled, and the wind began to blow, and it's icy cold. The hot sweat rolled down my cheeks, and don't know why. And the greasy smoke, inky cloak, went streaking down the sky. I do not know how long in snow I wrestled with grisly fear. The stars came out, and they danced about. Again I ventured near. I was sick with dread, but I bravely said, I'll just take a peek inside. I guess he's cooked, and it's time I looked, and then the door I opened wide. And there sat Sam, looking cool and calm in the heat of the furnace roar. And he wore a smile you could see for a mile, and he said, please close that door. It's fine in here, but I greatly fear you'll let in the cold and the storm. Since I left Plumtree down in Tennessee, it's the first time I've been warm. There are strange things down in the midnight sun, by the men who moil and toil for gold. The Arctic trails have their secret tales that make your blood run cold. The northern lights, sights. I've seen queer sights. But the queerest they ever did see was the night on the marge, Lake the Barge, that cremated Sam Magee.